Welcome to the video where we use the Power BI connector for user cost attribution with Nerdio Manager for Enterprise. You will need Power BI Desktop installed to follow along with this video. If you don't have Power BI Desktop, there's a link to it in the Nerdio documentation, and a link will be available when we configure the connector. Also, this is a premium feature. Let's get started in the Nerdio Manager for Enterprise portal. First, we need to configure the connector. Go to the dashboard and then to User Cost Attribution. Click on the Power BI button under the Cost Summary. Click Enable. That will check and build the reports. Next, we have two options available to configure the Power BI connector, automatic or manual. Both options have two high-level steps. The first step is to set up the connector, and the second step is to create and use the connector. We'll go through the automatic process first. The automatic setup process starts with a link to the Power BI desktop. Use that link if you have not yet installed Power BI. Be sure to close Power BI desktop if it's running before the next steps. Next, click on the download button to download the PowerShell script. If you get a security warning, click on the option to approve the download. Once downloaded, we'll open PowerShell and run the script. That will finish the setup process. From PowerShell, navigate to the directory the Nerdio script was downloaded to, the downloads directory for this example. We can type dir to see the contents of the directory and make sure the script is there. Next, we'll run the script. We could type it in directly here or go back to the setup wizard and copy the command to run the script. We'll go back to PowerShell and paste in that command. We'll run the command, and if prompted, select R to run once. That will set up the connector. That's the automatic process to set up the connector. Let's go back to the wizard. If the script fails, you may need to unblock the file or set the PowerShell execution policy to unsigned. Click on the drop-down next to Troubleshoot. The first issue describes the steps to unblock the file. Second, if you get an error that the script is disabled, you may need to change your PowerShell execution policy. There are two commands to address this issue. From PowerShell, first run the set execution policy remote sign command. Once that runs, then run the script. Once the script is finished, run the last command to set the execution policy back to default. If you still have issues or can't run PowerShell, there is an option to manually configure the connector. The next steps are for the manual setup process and are only required if you have not completed the automatic setup process we just went over. Change the setup process type to manual if you haven't already done so. Next, we need to add a certificate thumbprint to the registry. There's a link on the screen to a Microsoft document that explains the process if you'd like more information. Open the registry editor by typing registry editor in the search bar. Navigate to the path HKey local machine software, policies, Microsoft, Power BI Desktop. If the path does not exist, it will need to be created. We need to update, or in this case, add the value trusted certificate thumbprints. If the value doesn't exist, create a multi-string value. Create the multi-string value and give it the name trusted certificate thumbprints. Once created, or if the value is already there, modify the value. We'll copy the value from the Power BI setup wizard. And paste it into trusted certificate thumbprints. We can click OK at the warning, and that adds the thumbprint. You can close the registry editor. We'll go back to the Power BI setup wizard. Next, let's download the PBIX sample reports. Now open File Explorer and go to Downloads. Copy the file Nerdio user cost attribution.pbix. You may need to enable showing file extensions from the View menu. Next, go to Documents, Power BI Desktop, and paste the .pbix file under Power BI Documents. Let's go back to the Power BI Setup Wizard. Next, download the connector. We'll go back to File Explorer and to Downloads. Copy the Nerdio reporting sign.pqx file. And then we'll paste it in Documents, Power BI Desktop, Custom Connectors. We can close File Explorer now. We'll go back to the Setup Wizard. That's the manual process for the Power BI connector. Again, the manual process is only required if we don't set it up with the automatic option. Now that we have the connector set up, let's use it. Open up Power BI Desktop. Add the connector by going to Get Data. And from there, we'll search for Nerdio. There's the connector. We'll select that and click Connect. Select Continue at Connecting to Third-Party Services. We're now asked for 3 values. All of these can be found in the Power BI Setup Wizard. Let's get the name value. And we'll paste it in. We'll get the base URL. And the same for the Power BI access key. Once those have been entered, click OK. In the Navigator dialog box, check the AVD and the MAU rows and then load. Once connected, go to File. Under Open Reports, browse Reports. The reports are located under Power BI Desktop. And it's the PBIX file. Select that and open. And that brings us to the Nerdio Power BI Cost Attribution Reports. That is how to use the Power BI connector for Nerdio Cost Attribution Reports.